Hey everybody, I'm Travis. I'm an alcoholic. Hey Travis. Good to be here. Grateful to be of service to AA, be asked to do anything for the one thing that saved my life, man. Like, I've tried it all, and this is the only thing that has kept me sober and changed my attitude. And that's a blessing. And yeah, quite a few of those officers I had dealt with, and it was, they knew me. And that blew my mind. I walked in, I said, man, there ain't no way, not very long ago, I'd have walked in this building. I pulled up and there's sheriff's cars everywhere, police, all that. I said, hell no, we ain't coming in here. And you know, today, like, I'm able to do that, man. That's a blessing, and give back. So, by the grace of God, like, I haven't had to take a drink or pick up a drug since January the 10th of 2019. And that absolutely blows my mind. Like, I never thought I would be able to live life sober. Like, I just couldn't fathom that, you know. I do have a sponsor. He has a sponsor. And I'm able to sponsor men and give back what's been given to me. Do have a home group. It's Keeping It Sober group. We meet Tuesdays at 7 for a discussion meeting. Saturdays at 7 for an open speaker meeting. If you'd ever like to stop by, we'd be glad to have you. So my job here tonight is to tell you what I was like, what happened, what I'm like today. I grew up in the huge town of Rockingham. You know, it's bustling, it's wide open all the time. You know, my idea of fun growing up was hanging out at Walmart and going in the woods four-wheeling or something like, you know. We didn't have shit to do. So like, I do remember, like, being a kid, man, I always had that less than mentality. Like, something ain't right. I don't fit. And, you know, it was through working a 4-step that, like, one of the biggest ones for me, there were quite a few, but as a child, like, and even today, like, I've never met my biological father. And, like, I didn't realize how much that screwed with me until, you know, really working a 4-step and taking a look at it, you know, like, that kind of started that less than, like, damn, what'd I do? Like, this dude don't even want to see me, you know what I mean? And I'd hear of other people, like, we're getting child support. I'm still selfish. Like, I was looking for that check, too, you know? Like, damn, dude ain't helping me out. And, you know, but my mom remarried when I was 4, and, like, I definitely had a dad. Like, ain't a doubt in my mind. That dude stepped in some shoes. Just sitting here thinking about how I get that opportunity today to step into some lives of some kids, man, that ain't biologically mine, but like they mine, you know what I mean? Like I can take care of them. So, growing up, man, was really good. Like I grew up in a Christian family. Like we met at grandma's on Sunday, huge family. Like that's what we did. We go to church, we go to grandma's, we hang out. And I can remember that. Like I didn't like that either, man. Like, you know, I was really good in school, but I didn't like school. Like, I got picked on a lot. Like, I had low self-esteem, low self-worth, and really just let people run over me, honestly. You know, and I grew up in a family of stuffing. Like, we ain't talking about that. We're going to stuff these feelings, you know. You know, if I get emotional and I cry, my dad's like, you know, suck that up. You know what I mean? He was an old redneck dude. Like, he wasn't, suck it up. You know what I mean? We don't do that. You know, I didn't realize till later on, like, there was some turmoil in the house, and it just wasn't brought to our face as kids. You know, we didn't know it. Come to find out, like, my dad cheated on my mom. You know, just a lot of tension there, and, you know, I thought that was pretty bad on his part, and I grow up do the same thing. Like, it was only until I got in recovery, like, I had cheated on every person I had ever had in my life, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm doing the exact same thing that he did to destroy my mom, you know what I mean? And, you know, it is what it is. That's the past. So I guess I got kind of selfish when my sister was born. I do have a younger sister, younger brother. I remember my dad spending, like, a lot of time with me, and then, like, she comes along, right? And I got pushed off to the back. Well, I don't like this. Like, this ain't cool. Let's go play. I was a mean kid, vindictive, but I would get you behind your back. I'm not going to get you to your face. I remember shooting the windows out of his truck, you know, like, and then I'd say it was an accident, you know what I mean? I didn't mean to. Like, knowing good and well, I shot the windows out of that truck. Stuff like that. And as I continued to grow on, like, man, I had sticky fingers from a young age, way before alcohol and drugs. I mean, we used to have a lake house up at Lake Tillery. So I was probably about 21, and I remember going to Walmart stealing cigarettes. Because, back then they'd just be out there. I wanted some, so I'm going to take it. It's like a big story of my life. Like, if I wanted it, I'm going to get it. Like, good luck trying to stop me. I remember getting caught with those, and she making me go back, talk to the manager, and, we're going to call the police, we're going to arrest you, trying to scare me, whatever. I guess maybe around probably 13 is the first time I took a drink. Some of the neighbors up there at that lake, like, they partied hard. Had nice boats, nice cars, like women all around. I'm like, man, that looks fun, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they got all this stuff, and later to find out, like, they were cocaine dealers, so I know where the money came from now. And I remember riding a boat with him one time, and I was like, man, let me do some of that you doing. He's like, nah, man, your dad will kill me. And like, there was another side of my dad that I didn't know. Like, he was mean with other people. Like, he was a scary dude, not to us, but like, I found out, like, he wasn't no pushover. And anyway, I remember breaking in their boathouse one time to get some beer. Like, I ain't found a lock yet to stop me. There's some that slow me down more than others, but like, if I want it, we're gonna get it. So like, school and everything came pretty easy. Like, I never studied, I never tried, and did really well academically, but like, socially, I wasn't. I just got an introvert, I guess you'd say, really. I'd soon be by myself than as with someone else. Like, I was content with that. Drugs are a huge part of my story, guys. I'll touch on it briefly. I know where I'm at, and I always drank, like, always. I found that, I don't really remember the first time I drank as like this euphoric moment that the clouds parted and the light came down. Like, it wasn't like that. I remember my dad had took us to the movie, like it was yesterday, I can remember. And on the way back, my friend that was with me was like, see if we get us some beer. And I'm like, that ain't happening, And I was like, Dad, get us some beer. And he's like, okay. I was like, shit. Like, it's all right. You know what I mean? So he went and got us a 6-pack, and we went and sat at the cemetery, and I drank 2, he drank 2, my friend drank 2. I got the speech about, you better not tell your mama. And, just like, I remember that moment, like, feeling a part of, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, man, this is cool. Hanging out with Dad, drinking a beer. I had no idea what it would lead to. A little later on in life, I guess probably in high school, I got licensed, and like, it was on then. It ain't nobody to really watch me as much. Like, I can go do what I want to do. And I guess even before that, like, we used to steal my friend's dad's truck. We'd push it down the driveway, go ride around with guns. Like, we grew up in the country, we could ride around, shoot signs. Boy, that stupid shit, you know what I mean? Like, sober. This is before alcohol and drugs. We are 13 years old, sober. And, but get into high school, and that's when things start kind of ramping up a little bit. I get out and do what I want to do. I get introduced to other things. I like the way it makes me feel. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? I drank a lot because I liked it. Like, it just took away all those fears. Like, I didn't care. You know what I mean? I could just do whatever, talk to whoever, be whatever. Enjoyed it. I tell it quite a bit. Like, I look at it today, like, I should have known, like, I was probably a little different. Like, I didn't start drinking beer, some little wine coolers or something. Like, we drank Mad Dog and Cisco. You know what I mean? Like, it was, I want the best bang for the buck. That's where it's at. And so that continued. I mean, high school was all right. I ended up, get into like my senior year, and I'm not following direction. You ain't gonna tell me what to do. And if you do, I'm probably gonna do the opposite just to throw it in your face that you're not gonna control me. Grades were fine, but I missed a lot of days. I used to go to school to leave school with people and go do what I do. And I remember my English teacher, she told me, she said, look, you're gonna have to come to summer school. It was 2 weeks before I was supposed to graduate. And she said, you're gonna have to come to summer school or I'm not gonna give you credit for English. And I'm like, I'm 18 years old. I'm signing the paper. It's like, I'll quit. I'm not coming back. You ain't gonna tell me that. So like I did, you know what I mean? Like there's poor decisions that I made all throughout my life. So I got into, I sold auto parts for a while, got into wheel and tire business, ended up going up to Greensboro, and we had a pretty successful business there. And I was really good at it because it involved numbers. And like I've been in some extracurricular ventures of my life where numbers are involved, and like I can keep up with them. So like I was really good at it, and I progressed at it really quick. And like you take this little country boy that grew up hunting, fishing, hanging out in the woods, and you throw me in Greensboro, and it was just something to do all the time. You know what I mean? And the business I was in, a lot of them weren't the model citizens of the community. And like I got to meet these big boys up there. You know, they driving around Ferraris and Porsches and Bentleys, and I'm like, this shit's crazy. You know what I mean? And like could hang out with them. And you know, you go to a club and like there's a line wrapped around the building, but because of the people I associated with, I walk around it. You know what I mean? I go straight through the front door, and it just swole my head up. Like ego, huge, man, huge. And this whole time, like things are progressing. You know what I mean? Like a beer ain't gonna cut it. I need 6. And then 6 ain't gonna cut it. I need 12. And it's just tolerance is built. And like I'm an alcoholic. I like more. So the alcohol, like I gotta have something else on top of it. And those tolerances build. And like it's getting to be pretty expensive to get me through the day. Ended up, we'll just skip forward. I ended up managing I worked in retail and wholesale, ended up managing a multi-million-dollar company at like 23 years old and making way more money than I should have on top of extracurricular things I was doing. Like money just flowed in. And like if I'm real honest about it, I still live check to check every week, you know what I mean? Because I just blow it. And the amount of things I was doing, it took a lot to stay functional. And I did. Like I was a functioning alcoholic for a long time. Come to find out some of the things I was doing, if I didn't do them, I would have seizures. And I didn't know it. And I could never get honest with a doctor and tell them that. Like, you know, of course they're going to ask the question, are you on any street drugs? No, sir. Like, no. I ain't going to tell him the truth. Do you drink? Yeah, maybe a couple, you know. Nah. And so like I would like flop out, have seizures. I had one going down 485 in Raleigh, and I remember waking up in the back of an ambulance with 2 state troopers standing over me going, something was riding with you. And I wasn't thinking like what happened. I'm thinking, what was in my pocket? Like, where's it at? I'm about to go to jail again. I will say I started my jail career about 15 years old in Rockingham, running from some police on a 4-wheeler because you was on foot and he told me to stop. That's not going to happen. Like, ain't no way, catch me. And they would. I remember my dad used to tell me, he said, you can't run from that radio, boy, because I was all smart ass. I'll outrun the cops, Daddy. You don't know me. You know what I mean? So he was right. Like that radio goes pretty far. And it took about 5 of them to catch us, and we all went to jail. But like a big thing with jail for me was consequences. Like you get out of some shit, you got some money. You know what I mean? Like really. Like I'd get in trouble. That time I got arrested at 15. Like I went and got out of jail from a bail bondsman who was from a friend. Went to the guy who impounded our 4-wheelers. His dad was a friend. Got it and was home before my mom got off work. You know what I mean? And like she comes in, she's like, what'd you do today? Nothing, just hanging around. She's like, well, that's funny because such and such's mom called me and he's in jail that got arrested with you. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've been here all day. So like I used to have this thing about wrecking cars. When I come up to a stoplight, I pass out. I don't know why. Stop signs, stop lights. I think I wrecked about 5 of them. Just passing out, crushing something. And if the car was still running, like I'm gone. Like I remember putting a guy up in a front yard of a neighborhood trying to keep up with me one night. Crazy stuff, man. So I continued in this. I guess I was probably like 27 when it, like I say getting bad, but like the truth was it was bad for a while. You know, it got to the point where I couldn't pay my bills. had to move back home, and like I'm gonna use the excuse of my family needs help, right? Like I'm gonna run back to mom because she's gonna take me in, and so that's what I did. And like I came down back to Rockingham, and like man, it got bad. Like I found some people doing the things like I like to do, and it went downhill pretty quick. Whole time getting arrested, you know, and like there's a bunch of war stories. Like we get it. Like the real thing is like when I drink, I can't stop. I drink till I black out. I do as much as I can. Like, you know, all the things that go along with that. So I had a bright idea, like I'm not going to work anymore because that's too hard. I'm going to become a full-time criminal. And I did. It got to the point of I was breaking in businesses, stealing safes and cracking them. And I've broken into multiple pharmacies. And if you pull up my record, it shows it. Like I'm a multiple felon, you know what I mean? It's I just make bad decisions when I'm drunk and high. And it runs the show, you know what I mean? Like I got to have it. Like it's to a point of physical addiction where like I got to have it or I can't function. You know, there at the end, like I had my mom that I could go to, but I would choose to go run the streets and bounce from like house to house instead of stay there so I could do what I wanted to do. And like they taught me in treatment, like that's homeless. Like you don't have a home. You're homeless. You know what I mean? Mark helped point that one out to me. I was like, yeah, sounds about right. So anyway, I got caught up in some trouble. I ended up getting hit with 18 felonies. I got charged with a lot of stuff, and I remember like them trying to interrogate me, and they were charging me with some things that I really hadn't did. Honestly, today I'll say that. But when you're caught up in addiction and you look like I did, the cops don't believe much you got to say. I was like, I didn't do that. They're like, yeah, whatever. We're going to charge you with it. And they did quite a few. And like, there's never been any alcoholism, never any addiction in my family. So like, nobody knew what to do with me. Like it breaks my heart. My mom used to be like, I don't know what I did wrong with you. And like today I know like she didn't do anything wrong. She did the best she could. Like I was born with this thing, and like once I activated it and put something in me, like it was a wrap. Like you didn't have a say in it. And like we're able to talk about stuff like that today, you know what I mean? I'm like, damn, she did great, you know? So I get this lawyer, and he's like, well, what we need to do is you need to go to detox, you need to go to treatment, it's going to help your case look better. And like, that's what I heard, case look better. Like I didn't have a clue about wanting to quit, really. Like I just didn't want to go to prison for multiple years. I was like, nah, I don't think that sounds too fun. So I did, right? I went to detox first time, not the last. But then I went to treatment for the first time. I think it was 32. And like I just couldn't help but relate to what they were telling me. You know what I mean? Like it stuck out so much with them reading that book to me and telling me about the stove being hot. And I know that thing's going to burn my ass, but I'm going to grab it every time. And the jaywalker that keeps getting hit, and yet I still walk out in the street. I was like, man, that makes sense, you know what I mean? And they broke it down to me in ways that like I could just understand. And, you know, so like I grabbed a hold of it, man, I did. And I stayed sober for a little while. And then like at 3 months sober, I got asked to go work for a treatment center. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like my life, not long ago, I'm homeless, I'm strung out, and now I'm being asked to work somewhere to be able to help someone else. And it felt good because like I had a purpose, you know what I mean? I was like, damn, this is nice. I enjoy feeling like this. Let me be able to help somebody else do this too. Because I mean, like it was dark. Like I'd pray for death all the time. Like all the time. Like, man, just get me out of this. Something happened to kill me. So I did that for a little bit, and then I ended up relapsing. I kind of did some research and development on a first step. Like, I thought I was cured. I thought that I could do one. And like I was still wrapped up in recovery. Like I'm still working at a treatment center. I'm going to meetings. What I know today is like I had a reservation that one day I could drink again. And I wasn't honest about it. I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell somebody about it because I thought, because I'm in AA, I'm in recovery, I'm not supposed to think about drinking, right? Like, I've been doing it my whole life, but because I'm trying to do the right thing, I'm not supposed to think about it. So I don't want to tell you I'm thinking about it. And I ended up getting drunk, you know? And what I know about myself is I'm not one of those people that goes out and comes back in a week and picks up a white chip. Like that relapse took me on a 3-year run, and it got worse. Like, man. You know, I could get in those war stories again. It doesn't really matter. Again, homeless, right? Back to homeless in a short period of time. Don't have anything. So I think it was 2016. I'd been to detox multiple times, but like 2016, I went to detox again. I went to a transitional house, stayed there for a couple weeks, waiting on a bed in treatment. I got to treatment. And like, this is one of the times when I learned about the obsession of alcoholism. Like, I didn't want to use anymore, but when I got to that treatment center in that hometown, like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was all I thought about is getting something. And I can remember being there. I made it 2 days. And I'm in the office with all the counselors. They're all trying to talk to me one at a time. And I'm just crying. I'm like, man, I don't want to leave. But like, I got to go, you know? And I did. Like, I didn't fight through it. I left. And again, another 3-year run. Kept getting worse. So in 2018, I got some more charges. Because that's what I do. I catch charges. And I remember going to court, and the guy's like, man, we'll get you off on probation. Like, it's going to be all right. I had this moment of clarity, like you hear about it, and I had it. I was sitting in the little attorney's office off to the side of the courtroom talking to this guy, like, you know, I've been a member of the Richmond County Courthouse judicial system for a while, so he knew who I was. And I'm like, he's like, here's the plea they're going to give you. You're going to get probation. I'm like, I want you to put in there that I have to go to treatment. He's like, what? He said, I've never had anybody tell me that. And like, I know today, that was God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Like, that moment of clarity, like, I knew if that dude hadn't told that judge that the stipulation of this plea bargain is I have to go to treatment, I'd have never went. Like, that's just the reality. I was caught up in what I was doing day to day to day. I'd have never went. And best decision I ever made. Like, by far. So going to treatment again, and it was hard. Like, I went into treatment into the one I used to work at. Like, I would see my office in there, and just like self-pity would eat me up. Like, damn, I could still be here. You know what I mean? Like, I was just so consumed in the past. You know, these shoulda, coulda, woulda, so it didn't even matter. But that stuff like just took up so much space, and I came in still like full of this ego, full of this false pride that I'm somebody I'm not, that like I know how to stay sober, right? I know the book, and I'm sitting there trying to tell these other people how to do it. Like, I'm in there 2 days trying to tell somebody else how to, hey man, what you need to do is, and you know, like, they just broke it down to me. I remember having a peer evaluation like a week into it, which is supposed to happen 3 weeks into it, right? So I go in the group one day, and they're like, we're going to do a peer evaluation on Travis. And I'm like, nah, bullshit. Like, this ain't in my schedule here. This is 3 weeks from now, you know? And like, once again, like, that's the best thing, man. Like, them dudes broke me down. And it was a point where some open-mindedness came into play. I'm like, if all these people in treatment are telling me the same thing, all my peers who are right in the same boat I am are pointing out the same defects I've got, if the counselors are telling me the same thing, if the cook is telling me the same thing, there might be something to what they're saying. You know what I mean? Maybe I should just take a look at it. And I did, man. I remember being pissed off for like 2 or 3 days after that. Like, man, fuck all these people. You know what I mean? Like, I was so mad. And, but like, that's what it took, you know? Like, today I've heard, you know, you got to tear down the old walls where you can build some new ones, right? Like, I didn't understand what process was happening at that time. Like, they broke that ego down. They helped to to like show me who I really was. Like that's what it was. And so, about 2 weeks into treatment, after all that stuff happened, like I really started to pay attention. I was really willing to try. I shut my mouth and I started listening. Like Harold told me, he said, man, you could talk the talk, you just can't walk the walk. Like I knew what to do. I could tell you about doing it, but I never put it into action. I never did it. And so I started doing that. And like I learned a lot. I mean, I can remember like praying on my knees, right? Like that's a suggestion that they give us. Hey, start praying on your knees. And me, I'm like, I don't know about that. Like I'm sick. I'm sitting here thinking that shows weakness. I don't want these guys in treatment to see me get on my knees and pray. Something that all these people are telling me that's going to help me. I don't want to do that. And I can remember it was a process too. Like it started off like, all right, ain't nobody in the room. Let me shut the door. I'll try hitting my knees. And like it progressed. It got to where I'd let one guy be in the room. I'd hit my knees. And I was okay with it. And then both my roommates would be in there and I'd hit my knees. And I was okay with it. And then I'd start praying on my knees with the door open. Because they told me to be an example, right? Like be an example of what you should do. And like when I started doing that, like it just got better. I remember the exact instance that I felt I was going to be okay. I'm laying in the bed. I just simply prayed like, God, I need some help, man. I can't do it. Like I can't do this no more. And I'm a firm believer that like God knows what's in my heart. I've said those things a lot of times, but I think God knows when I'm ready. You know what I mean? I got these chills, and I was just like, it's going to be okay. And it has been ever since that day. I've been obsessed over alcohol since that day. Like, I'm not obsessed over alcohol and drugs. It does not consume my mind anymore. And that is a miracle for me. Like, I mean, I'm aware of what. That's just a huge deal. So got out of there, was able to graduate, just did the things I did, had the opportunity to go to a halfway house, which is something I was against before. Like I'm not doing that. They're telling me this would be a good idea for you. I'm not going to do it. And this time I was. I knew all the guys that worked at the treatment center, known them for years. I said, look, man, like find me a sponsor. I don't want to go out here and pick a sponsor because I'll probably pick somebody I can run over or manipulate or, just somebody who's easy. And so they did, man. They hooked me up with a guy and went to the halfway house. Met him like a week later because he was in Colorado playing golf. And I was like, that must be nice. He was retired. He had some sobriety. And man, I met this dude and I'm judging him. I'm like, I don't know about this cat. Like he looks a little different than I'm used to seeing. You know what I mean? And man, that guy's been a blessing. Like he don't take no shit. He tells me the truth. He'll hurt my feelings. But he has taught me so much about living life. Like not just picking up a drink, living life. Like stuff I didn't have any clue to do, be responsible. I don't know nothing about responsibility when I came in here. Like what I know today, I've been taught by y'all. I remember getting to the halfway house and like, there were some choices to make. Like, I mean, there were some people doing what they should do, and then there's people doing not what they should do, right? And I always heard like in treatment, it's like just stick with the winners, man. Like hang around the people that are doing what you want to do, or who are being what you want to be. And like that's what I did. Like I didn't realize it then, but like looking back at it today, like there was only a few of us that like we were tight. We stuck together. We did what y'all told us to, was do the deal. Like I heard that so much, just do the deal. And that's what we did. We'd go to meetings, we'd hang out, we'd go out to eat afterwards after meetings. Like it was great. There's been a lot of ups and downs with that. So I started working these steps, man, with my sponsor, and like I just changed. Like I didn't even know it. I got a buddy that says like if I work the steps, I change without my permission. And I find that to be true. Like as we're in this book and I'm doing this deal, like I don't even know what's happening at the moment. And one of the moments when I I don't even know how much I realized it, but I look at back today and it was a big change, but my family really realized it. My sister had I guess I was maybe 4 months sober, 5 months sober, I don't know. But she had some medical issues, ended up having to have a hysterectomy. And she was about to be in surgery, most of the morning. And like I was able to show up. Like I don't understand, I didn't realize how big that was, just to be present. You know what I mean? And y'all taught me that. Like sometimes just being present is a pretty big deal. And I sat at that hospital all day with her, and the family and her friends. And so she gets done with her surgery and we go upstairs to the recovery room. And come to find out they're putting her in a maternity ward with babies, right? No big deal. But in her situation, her friend had told me earlier that she's really struggling with it because she doesn't have any biological kids, right? And like, this is it. Like, you're not going to have any. Like, all her female organs are gone. And so I was like, that just don't seem right to me. You know what I mean? Like, you got to wake up out of surgery and hear crying babies, knowing that you'll never experience that. Like, just to think about her is a huge change in my life. Like, I'm a selfish asshole, you know what I mean, most of the time. And to think about somebody else is what this program's done for me. So we're sitting in this recovery room, and everybody's in there, and everybody's talking about it. And we're like, oh, this ain't right, this ain't right, this ain't right. And, y'all taught me too, it's okay not to be okay. So I stand up, and I said, I'm not okay with this. I'm going to go talk to somebody. And the room gets quiet because they know me, right? Like, these are people that know the other side. A lot of people I know today have never seen that. Like, I'll flip my shit, I'm telling you. And like, you're messing with my sister, I don't like it, and they didn't know what was going to happen. Because there's a lot of times when I would come around that they just have to wait and see what mood I'm in before they approach the situation. Like, really, you never know what I was going to be like, what mood I'm going to be in, how I'm going to act or react. And I was able to go in there. I said, I'm going to go talk to the nurse over here. Does anybody want to go? And they just start looking at each other. And they're like, I don't know about that. I don't want to be associated with this. And anyway, her friend did. And her friend was, her husband was a preacher. And so like, I was able to go in there and talk to this lady like rationally. You know what I mean? I didn't have to go in there and flip out. I didn't have to go in there and yell at her. I just said, here's the situation with her. I'm not, and we're not okay with how this is happening. Well, sir, this is how we do this, and there's nothing we can do. I said, I find that hard to believe. Like, you got a boss. I want to talk to them. Like, you run this little floor. I know there's somebody. I'll talk to the head of this hospital if I got to. You know what I mean? There's a resolve here. And within an hour, they had her in a private room away from that before she even woke up. And like, that's just amazing, right? That like, I'm able to, y'all taught me live in the solution, not the problem, right? That I'm able to approach something, talk to somebody, communicate, and resolve that problem without anger, without raising my voice. It just blowed my mind, you know what I mean? And it really blew their minds. Because I kind of been away from them. I've been in this halfway house. I don't go home a lot. I didn't, not at that time, because I just wanted to stay out of that environment. I didn't want any triggers to have to happen. I don't feel like I was ready. So, life just kept getting better, man. I did get kicked out of the halfway house. I'd like to say I followed rules. I'm willing to do this and that. And, come to find out I was not. I kind of broke some rules. And it wasn't so much the breaking of the rule that got me kicked out. I wasn't to the point of pausing when agitated yet. And I kind of voiced my opinion pretty strongly sometimes. And, so that didn't work out. I got asked to leave. So, I left. And I mean, like God opened some doors, man. I was able to go to the house, kept going to meetings. And that was hard, right? Because, man, all this self-pity's in my head. I'm like, damn, I got kicked out of the halfway house. They're all going to judge me. And, it was hard. Really, just to go to a meeting, it was uncomfortable. Even around all these people I know and had been around because I had did something wrong or, I don't know, man, it's that crazy talk in my head, But I did. I fought through it. I went through that fear. Because y'all always tell me, just poke a little hole in that fear and it ain't as bad as my mind tells me it is. I got a buddy who tells me we pole vault over mouse turds. And like, that makes sense to me. I make the biggest deals out of the smallest things, you know what I mean? And so, life kept going, got a job. I did struggle with that when I got out of halfway house. I thought, I got to get a job, I got to work, I got to do this, I got to do that, right? And I didn't work for like 3 months. And during that time, I was able to go to so many meetings. I could walk to them. Wilderville's right there, 3 meetings a day. I ain't got nothing else going on, right? And I learned so much in that period from being able to go to 3 meetings a day. And like I did, like I blew a 90 and 90 out. Like, I'm not trying to brag or anything like that, but that's what God had in store for me, to sit in there and learn. And I met a lot of people doing it that I had to use later on. So, I mean, just kept really, just kept doing a deal, man. I just went to meetings, I went to work, I went home. Like, that was it. I mean, there's been ups, there's been downs. I haven't had to drink over any of them. It's amazing. I get overwhelmed with gratitude sometimes. Like, I ride down the road and just start crying. Like, I can't believe this is my life. Like, the last relapse I had, like, I wanted to die every day. You know what I mean? I never saw a way out. I was so hopeless. I was so destroyed. I was so miserable. And like, the life I have today, because of Alcoholics Anonymous, a sponsor, a God as I understanding, I'm aware of it. You know what I mean? I'm aware of it. What gift this is. Ended up, man, like, I'm self-employed today. Like, I got some good people around me. I remember a guy taking me on the spiritual retreat, the men's spiritual retreat, when I had first come out of treatment. And like, it was a blast. And like, I haven't missed one since. Like, doing stuff like that, like getting involved in other stuff, and staying sober and hanging around some good people. Got a family today, man. That shit is crazy. I watch so many of my friends just get married, have kids, and I'd always sit there and be like, man, I'd like to do that one day, but I'm continuing to party every day, and life's just passing me by. I'm stuck in the same thing. And today I get to be a part of that. Like, I got a little girl, I walk in the door and she's like, hey, Daddy. Like, she's happy, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what, man. Like, just to be present, just to be there for her. Be responsible, take care of a household, think about others, do the stuff I don't want to do, you know what I mean? Because I know it's the right thing to do. Like, that's a miracle, man. And it's all to AA and God. Like, faith's been a huge part of me. I used to love the 11-step meeting. I used to go all the time. And, seeking through that. Like, being aware of the things that happen around me, something's got a hand in it. I choose to call it God, Like, things that are going to be all right. Like, when I get wrapped up in myself and y'all pop in my head, this too shall pass. When I'm wrapped up thinking about something, like, feelings are not facts, you know what I mean? Just because my mind is telling me this is happening doesn't really mean it is. Barry helped me a lot one time, man, and with honesty. And we were sitting in his office, and he said, if you don't tell me what's going on, I can't help you. And that blew, like, I don't know, it's just one of them light bulb moments. And it's been like that with my sponsor and some of the friends I have. Like, if I don't tell you how I'm feeling, I ain't never met nobody with a crystal ball that can read my mind. You know what I mean? Like, I have to talk about this stuff. And that's hard for me. I don't like talking about feelings and things. But I have learned that when I do, I grow. You know what I mean? When I'm in uncomfortable situations and I fight through those fears, I grow. It's by far, Alcoholics Anonymous is the best thing I have ever done. Because I know when I don't do this, I lose all the other things in my life that come along with it as a direct result of this program. I've proven it to myself multiple times. Having faith in God's a big deal for me. Like, it just helps me get through the day. Whether it's up, whether it's down, I know that I'm going through something for a reason. And it helps me to put another foot in front of the other. There's been a lot of times happening. I remember y'all telling me, like, there's going to come a time in your recovery where there's nobody but you and a God. to make a decision. And I've had those times. You know what I mean? Like, hey, there's a choice to be made. And God will come into my life and say, you know where it's going to lead you. Like, because I stay here, I can see the truth today. I think about alcohol. I think about drugs. I've had them in my hand from situations I've been in. But I know the truth today that I can't do one. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful to be here. Scott, thank you so much for asking me. I mean, just the biggest thing, man, is hope. Like, if I can get sober, anybody can do it. Follow some direction. It's up and down. It's okay. My sponsor told me the only thing I've got to do 100% in this program is the first step. As long as I don't pick up a drink today, I have an opportunity to do the rest of it, grow, make mistakes, whatever. The only thing I got to do is not drink. And that's, I haven't had to. I ain't had to drink today. And that's because of y'all. It's because of God. It's because of this program. It's because of the people in my life. Like, it's just, it's amazing. And I hope everybody gets to experience it, right? If you're going through it, tell somebody, man. Talk about it. Harold told me, a problem shared is a problem cut in half. I believe that. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know what it is. I can sit there and just voice it and tell Scott, and like, I feel better. No matter what he says back, I feel better because I said it. But, yeah. Glad y'all are here. Thanks. Appreciate y'all.